The night she threw him out, it wasn't just rain pouring from the sky. It was everything he had built, collapsing in silence. Daniel stood at the doorway, soaked to the bone, clutching their little boy's trembling hand, while the woman he loved stared at him like he was nothing more than a stranger. "Get out," she said. 3 simple words, but they carried 10 years of love, shattered in a single moment. Before we go any further, where are you watching this from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments. And if you love powerful stories of betrayal, revenge, and redemption like this, make sure you subscribe to Stone Tales. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Daniel Carter wasn't always the man standing in the rain. Once he had everything, or at least he believed he did. He met Vanessa when he had nothing. No money, no status, no name, just ambition. They were young, struggling, and hungry for a better life. Vanessa worked as a receptionist at a mid-sized real estate firm, while Daniel bounced between small jobs, construction, delivery driving, even night shifts at warehouses. But Daniel had something most people didn't: vision. He would sit for hours, sketching building ideas, studying property markets, and reading everything he could about real estate investment. Vanessa used to laugh at him. "Dreams don't pay rent, Daniel." But he never stopped. Years passed, and slowly things began to change. Daniel started making quiet moves, small investments, partnerships, risks no one else dared to take. But he never told Vanessa the full story, not because he didn't trust her, but because he wanted to build something first, something real, something undeniable. Meanwhile, Vanessa was changing too, but not in the same way. As Daniel grew more focused and withdrawn, Vanessa grew impatient. She watched her co-workers rise, buy cars, wear designer clothes, travel, and she compared every day. She compared. "Why are we still living like this?" she would ask. "Why are we always struggling?" Daniel would smile, tired but calm. Just a little longer, but a little longer turned into years, and Vanessa's patience turned into resentment. Their son, Ethan, was the only thing holding them together. A bright, sweet boy, with Daniel's eyes and Vanessa's smile. He adored his father. To Ethan, Daniel wasn't poor. He was a hero, the man who told bedtime stories, fixed broken toys, and carried him on his shoulders like he owned the world. But Vanessa didn't see that anymore. All she saw was a man who, in her eyes, had failed. One evening changed everything. Vanessa came home later than usual, dressed differently, smiling differently. There was a confidence in her, one Daniel hadn't seen before. "Where were you?" he asked gently. "Work," she replied quickly, but something felt off. Days turned into weeks. Late nights became normal. Phone calls she would take in another room. Messages she would hide. Daniel noticed. Of course he did. But he said nothing, because deep down he already knew. Then came the name. Marcus. Vanessa mentioned it casually one night. "He's the new manager at the firm," she said. "Very successful. Owns multiple properties." She said it with a kind of admiration that cut deeper than any insult. Daniel nodded slowly. "I see." That was all. But inside, something shifted. Marcus was everything Vanessa thought Daniel wasn't. Rich, confident, powerful. He drove luxury cars, wore expensive suits, and spoke with the authority of a man who never doubted himself. and Vanessa was drawn to that, like a moth to a flame. One night, Daniel came home early, and what he saw confirmed everything. Vanessa wasn't alone. Marcus stood in their living room, holding a glass of wine, laughing, comfortable, like he belonged there. Daniel froze at the doorway. Ethan ran up to him. "Dad!" But Daniel couldn't move, couldn't speak. Vanessa turned. Her face didn't show guilt, only annoyance. "You're early," she said, as if he had interrupted something trivial. Marcus stepped forward, extending his hand. "You must be Daniel." Daniel looked at the hand, then at Vanessa, then back at Marcus, and he didn't take it. Instead, he asked one question. "Who is he, really?" Vanessa sighed, clearly irritated. "Daniel, don't start." "Answer me." Silence. Then Marcus smirked slightly. "I'm someone who can give her the life she deserves." Those words echoed in the room like a gunshot. Ethan clutched Daniel's hand tighter, confused, scared. Vanessa crossed her arms. "Maybe if you had done something with your life, we wouldn't be here." That was the moment. The exact moment something inside Daniel broke. But he didn't shout, didn't argue, didn't fight. He just looked at her, long and hard, as if memorizing the woman he once loved. Then he nodded slowly. "I understand." For a brief second, Vanessa hesitated. Something in his calmness unsettled her, but she ignored it. Days passed. Tension filled the house like poison. And then it happened. Vanessa had made her decision. "I can't do this any more," she said one evening. Daniel sat quietly, listening. "I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of waiting. I want more." Daniel glanced at Ethan, who was playing quietly in the corner. "More?" he asked softly. "Yes, a better life. And you think he can give you that?" Vanessa didn't hesitate. "I know he can." Daniel exhaled slowly, then asked the question that would change everything. "And what about us?" Vanessa looked him straight in the eyes. "There is no us anymore." Silence. Heavy. Final. That same night, she packed his things. No discussion. No compromise. Just cold, calculated decisions. "You need to leave," she said, "and take him with you." Daniel frowned. "Ethan stays with me." "No," Vanessa snapped. "He needs stability." Daniel's voice remained calm. "He needs his father." For the first time, Vanessa raised her voice. "He needs a future. And you think throwing us out gives him one?" That's when Marcus stepped in, standing behind Vanessa like a shadow. "You should go, Daniel," he said coolly. "You're only making this harder." Daniel looked at him, really looked at him, and in that moment, he saw something Marcus didn't expect. Not anger, not fear, but something far more dangerous. Certainty. Without another word, Daniel picked up a small bag, took Ethan's hand, and walked toward the door. Rain poured heavily outside. Thunder cracked across the sky. But Daniel didn't look back. Not once. Until, wait, Vanessa's voice stopped him. For a brief moment, hope flickered. Maybe she would change her mind. Maybe she would remember everything they had built together. But instead, she said something that would haunt her forever. "You were never enough, Daniel." He paused, closed his eyes, and whispered, "You have no idea." Then he stepped into the storm. Hours later, Daniel and Ethan stood under a small shelter, shivering. Ethan looked up at him. "Dad, where are we going?" Daniel knelt down, wiping the rain from his son's face. "We're going somewhere better." But This is our home." Daniel smiled softly. "No," he said. "That was never our home." Ethan frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" Daniel stood up slowly, and for the first time that night, he pulled out his phone, scrolled through something, then made a call. "Hello," he said calmly. "It's time." A pause. Then a voice on the other end responded with urgency. "Sir, are you sure?" Daniel looked back at the house, at the lights still on, at the silhouettes moving inside, at the life he was leaving behind. And then he said the words that changed everything. "Yes, prepare the documents. I'm reclaiming what's mine inside the house." Vanessa laughed as Marcus poured her another drink. "You did the right thing," Marcus said. She nodded, trying to silence the small voice in her head, the one that whispered, "Something isn't right." But she ignored it until the next morning, when a black luxury car pulled up in front of the house, followed by another. And another. Men in suits stepped out, carrying folders. Serious, precise, unforgiving. Vanessa opened the door, confused. "Can I help you?" The man in front adjusted his tie, then spoke calmly. "Yes, we're here regarding the property." Vanessa frowned. "What about it?" The man opened the folder, glanced at the documents, then looked her straight in the eyes. "Ma'am, you're being asked to vacate the premises immediately." Her heart skipped. "What? That's ridiculous. This is my house." The man didn't flinch. "No, ma'am, it isn't." And just like that, everything she thought she knew started to fall apart. Vanessa's heart didn't just skip, it dropped hard. "What do you mean this isn't my house?" she snapped, her voice rising with disbelief. There must be some mistake. The man in the suit didn't react. He had the kind of calm that only came from dealing with situations like this before. People clinging to things that were never truly theirs. "There is no mistake, ma'am," he said, flipping the folder toward her. "The property legally belongs to Mr. Daniel Carter." The name hit her like a slap. Daniel. Her Daniel? No, that didn't make sense. Her mind scrambled, trying to piece together a reality that suddenly refused to cooperate. "That's impossible," she whispered. "Daniel doesn't own anything." Behind her, Marcus stepped forward, his expression tightening. "Let me see that," he demanded, snatching the documents. He scanned the pages quickly, then slower, then again. His confident posture cracked, because it was all there. Ownership records, purchase history, signatures, dates, everything traced back. Years to Daniel. Marcus looked up, eyes sharp now. "This is some kind of fraud." The agent met his gaze without hesitation. "If you believe that, sir, you're welcome to challenge it in court. But as of this moment, you and anyone else occupying this property, without the owner's permission, must leave." Vanessa's hands started shaking. No, this doesn't make sense," she stammered. "We've been living here for years." "Yes," the agent replied calmly, "with the owner's authorization." Her breath caught. Authorization. A memory flashed. Daniel handing her the keys the day they moved in, smiling. "This is for us." She had never asked how he got it, never questioned it, because in her mind it wasn't important. Now it was everything. "Where is he?" she asked suddenly, her voice breaking. The agent closed the folder. "I believe Mr. Carter has chosen not to disclose his location." Vanessa turned to Marcus, panic rising. "Do something." But Marcus wasn't the same man from last night. The confident, untouchable figure was gone. In its place stood someone calculating, careful, and suddenly distant. "This is complicated," Marcus muttered. "Complicated?" Vanessa snapped. "We're being thrown out." Marcus sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I need to make some calls." But even as he said it, he was already stepping back, creating space, distance, an exit. Vanessa saw it, and fear gripped her tighter than ever before. "Marcus," she said, her voice small now, but he avoided her eyes. "I'll handle it," he said quickly, already heading toward the door. And just like that, he was gone, the same way Daniel had left. Only this time, there was no calm, no dignity, no quiet strength, just panic and the sound of everything collapsing. Hours later, Vanessa sat on the curb outside the house, her belongings packed into boxes beside her. Neighbors whispered, watched, judged. The life she had chosen was gone. Her phone buzzed. For a second, hope flickered. "Marcus." She answered instantly. "Marcus, where are you?" "What's going on?" Silence. Then, "Vanessa, I think it's best we take some space." Her chest tightened. "What?" "This situation. It's messy. I didn't sign up for this." The words cut deeper than anything Daniel had ever said. "I thought you said you loved me," she whispered. Marcus hesitated, then sighed. "I said a lot of things." Click! The line went dead. Vanessa stared at her phone, numb, empty, alone. For the first time in years, she saw the truth. Marcus didn't love her. He loved the version of her that came with stability, comfort, security. And the moment that disappeared, so did he. But Daniel had stayed through everything, and she threw him away. Tears streamed down her face, but they came too late. Meanwhile, across the city, Daniel stood in front of a towering glass building. Ethan held his hand, looking up in awe. "Dad, where are we?" Daniel smiled. "This is where I work." They stepped inside. The lobby was massive, polished marble floors, golden lighting, people in suits, moving with purpose. The receptionist stood up instantly. "Good morning, Mr. Carter." Ethan's eyes widened. "Dad, they know you." Daniel crouched beside him. "They do? Why?" Daniel paused, then said softly, "Because this is my company." Ethan blinked, processing, then smiled. "My dad is the boss?" Daniel chuckled. "Something like that." Upstairs, the boardroom doors opened. Executives stood as Daniel entered. Respect filled the room. "Sir, everything is ready," one of them said. Daniel nodded. "Good." He glanced at the city through the window, then spoke quietly. "Begin the acquisition process." "Which one, sir?" Daniel's eyes hardened slightly. "The one she works for." The room fell silent. Back outside, Vanessa sat alone as the sun began to set. Her world unrecognizable. Then her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Hello?" A familiar voice responded, calm, controlled, unshaken. "Vanessa." Her breath caught. "Daniel, I wanted to make sure you're okay." That broke her. The man she destroyed was asking if she was okay. I didn't know," she cried. "Daniel, I swear I didn't know." "I know," he said quietly. Silence hung between them, heavy, loaded. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. Daniel looked out over the city, lights flickering on, life moving forward. "Because I wanted you to love me," he said, "not what I had." Her heart shattered completely. "And now?" she whispered. Daniel closed his eyes briefly, then answered, Now you have to live with the choice you made. Tears fell endlessly down her face. Please, can we fix this? Daniel didn't answer immediately. Instead, he said something she would never forget. I gave you everything, even when you thought I had nothing. A pause. Then, but you only saw my worth when it was too late. The line went silent. Daniel, wait! But the call had already ended. Vanessa sat there long after the sun disappeared, long after the streetlights came on, long after the world moved on without her. And for the first time, she understood. We don't lose people because they were never enough. We lose them because we failed to see their value when it mattered most. Days turned into weeks. Daniel's company expanded rapidly. The acquisition went through. Vanessa's former workplace now belonged to him. She saw his name on the building one morning, bold, unavoidable, Danielle Carter. And in that moment, the truth settled in completely. She hadn't just lost a husband, she had lost a man who built an empire while loving her in silence. A man who gave her a home, she thought, came from nowhere. A man who would have given her the world if she had just believed in him. But she didn't, and now she never would. If this story touched you, remember this. Never underestimate someone just because they're quiet, humble, or still building. Sometimes the person you're overlooking is the one who owns everything you're standing on.